We're going to be talking about Proverbs 31 today. Don't really feel like you have a purpose. Once you have a family, once you get married, it's not just about you. This next one, which is kind of convicting me a little bit, is that Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are doing well today. Being as though I am newly married, I do not want to make it purpose of mine to really talk about give marriage advice unless it's something that God is highlighting to me. I want this to kind of be a journey. My social media has always just been sharing what God has been teaching me as I've been going through life, and I kind of still want to continue that. So I hope that this video doesn't throw anybody off. I don't want to be the person to give marriage advice, and especially now that I'm married, I don't want to sit here and give single advice or single encouragement unless it's something that I know that will be helpful for you guys, because I don't want to be one of those people, especially in the Christian world, where it's just oh, enjoy your singleness while it lasts kind of thing. I don't want to ever come across as one of those people. So the same thing with marriage. I never want to come across I know everything about marriage, even though God has showed me a lot even when I was single about marriage and through other relationships that I've had. I don't want to get to a point where I feel I know everything, or because I'm in a season I feel I'm an expert in the season. I feel all of us are just continuing to grow and learn, and life gives us so much experience and so much wisdom in these areas, and I can't help but share some of that wisdom as I go along and I learn it for myself. So that's the point of my content, is to share that wisdom as God takes me through these parts and these seasons of my life. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about Proverbs 31 today, and I know that this has been the chapter, specifically verses 10 through 31, because the beginning of the chapter isn't even talking about godly women, but Proverbs 31 is used a lot in especially Christian circles, Christian single women circles. I see a lot more single women talking about striving to be a Proverbs 31 woman than an actual married woman, and I do see those from time to time. But this is also to kind of highlight kind of a roadmap of God's vision for Proverbs 31 woman. I remember sitting in my single group when I was still single, and I talked about it in my last video about how I was in community with a small group of single women, and that was so beneficial for those 2.5 years of my life, and I learned so much, and God used that group so much in my life. Something that I remember specifically one night we talked about Proverbs 31 and how it seemed impossible for us to reach this status of what a Proverbs 31 woman is. And again, in single women communities, we talk about that is the goal, that is what it means to be a godly woman. And although it is something that God highlighted to me a couple weeks ago when I reread this chapter in the Bible, is that this is kind of a roadmap to biblical homemaking in a sense. When I was single, I started feeling this desire to want to be a homemaker, to want to be a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home wife, and really just take care of the home, take care of my husband, take care of my family. And although we don't have a family yet, I'm grateful to be in a season where I am able to stay home right now, even though financially it is difficult for us to navigate. I am very blessed and very grateful that I get to steward our home and take care of our home and make sure that I create an environment for my husband so that when he comes home after work or after a long day, and being the leader, being the provider of our family, I can create an environment that is welcoming, that is peaceful for him. I think there's a lot of people, especially since being a trad wife is so trendy nowadays and it's so aesthetic. It is a true calling from the Lord for women, especially women in marriages and that have families, because it is such an important call on our lives. We have the ability to shape our homes. We have the ability to shape our families, and that is so important to how the people that we are responsible for. We are a leader of our home. We are a leader of the environment that we create. And it's so important because those people, our husband, our kids, whoever it is that we're leading over, young women that we're leading over, how we steward our home, that impacts the world. God works through people, and especially through families and through the men in our lives. The men in our lives are under attack, and it is so important for us to create a welcoming, a spiritually safe environment for our men so that they can go out and lead and provide in the ways that they are called to by God, and we can continue to cultivate this environment that is so spiritually filled with the Lord. Going back to the point of how God highlighted how this was kind of a biblical roadmap to homemaking and cultivating that environment in that home and soon to be family, even though right now the family is just me and my husband, cultivating that spirit filled lifestyle for the both of us for when we just need that place of peace. If you're not married already, or if you are in a season where you don't have kids, or you're just in a singleness season and God hasn't called you, I feel like there's still something for women in Proverbs 31, even for men. I don't know if a lot of men besides my husband or my dad really watch my channel, but for the men that are watching this, there's still so much to learn from reading about the Proverbs 31 woman, because this is someone that these are characteristics that you can look for in a wife when you're in your singleness season, or this is some things that you can help cultivate in your wife if you're already married and you are facing some challenges on how to lead your wife. These are some ways to help her bring out her femininity, her biblical womanhood, so that she can be better molded into this woman of God that she is called to be. And maybe you are already married and you really want to do this Proverbs 31 thing, but you're working full time, or you're a single mom, or whatever it is. I still feel like there's a way that you can still be this Proverbs 31 woman in your life, no matter what season, stage of life that you're in. Again, it's easy for me to say because I'm married and my husband provides, but again, there are still some things that I struggle with, and I'm newly married, so there's some things that I still have to learn. Like, I still have a lifetime of learning to do, but I wanted to share this video in hopes that it would help people who are in this part of their journey, that are seeing this video right now in this point in time, that need it, that need to hear it, or in the future that they need to hear it. And I hope that it encourages you. Like I said, it is a roadmap. I'm going to start off by reading the verses, and then I'm going to break down each little thing, that different points and characteristics that I took away from the verses as a whole, and put the reference verses for each characteristic. Who can find a wife of noble character? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will not lack anything good. She rewards him with good, not evil, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like merchant ships bringing food from far away. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and portions for her female servants. She evaluates a field and buys it. She plants a vineyard with her earnings. She draws on her strength and reveals that her arms are strong. She sees that her profits are good, and her lamp never goes out at night. She extends her hand to the spinning staff, and her hands hold the spindle. Her hands reach out to the poor, and she extends her hands to the needy. She is not afraid for her household when it snows, for all in her household are doubly clothed. She makes her own bed coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the city gates, where he sits among the elders of the land. She makes and sells linen garments. She delivers belts to the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she can laugh at the time to come. Her mouth speaks wisdom, and loving instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the activities of her household and is never idle. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also praises her. Many women have done noble deeds, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. Give her the reward of her labor, and let her works praise her at the city gates. Proverbs 31 is like one of my favorite chapters in the whole Bible when it comes to women empowerment. And this is true women empowerment, not this feminist movement, girl boss babe women empowerment that we have in the modern world today, but true biblical women empowerment. And like the Bible even uses words like strength. She's wise in how her characters, and we're going to get into those things, but I just want us to kind of separate ourselves from how the world wants women to be, and how the world is masculating women and making us have to be something that we simply weren't created to be. So the first thing that I want to say that a Proverbs 31 woman is that she is rare. She is not common or worldly, kind of going back to what I just talked about. She is not like the world. She is set apart. God has set her apart. This is something that all Christians, all followers of Christ should strive to be. We are called to be set apart. We are called to be holy. I guess another way you could say this is that she is holy. The next thing is that she adds value to her husband. Now, you may be widowed, you may be single in this season, whatever it is, again, this can still apply to you, because even if you're not married right now, you're unmarried, you can still add value to another person's life. And as women, we add value to whatever it is that we are given. We are incubators, pretty much. Like, you give us a seed and we bring life, and we add value to people's lives. So look at your life, look at your character, and this is no judgment if you're in a phase where you just feel like you're not doing the best to build other people up and encouraging other people. Maybe you're not naturally gifted in encouragement. You can still look for ways to build people up, to add value to someone else's life, to be giving and loving to someone else. The next thing is that she works with her hands. Her hands are not idle. We see in a couple of verses where she's spinning things, she's sewing things, she's making things to sell at the merchant shops and things like that. And she's not idle. Even if you aren't someone that's like a businesswoman, or like you are constantly, you are not like the crafty person, making sure that you are diligent in the things that God has entrusted you with, in the work that God has entrusted you with. Maybe you're in a season where you're single right now and you don't really feel like you have a purpose. Seek God, first of all, for your purpose, and He will give you the tools that you need and the skills that you need to work towards what He's calling you to. But if you have a job right now, like, work as if you are working for the Lord. I think working with your hands isn't just about sewing things and looking cute. Again, I feel like we've made being a trad wife this aesthetic that it doesn't have to be. You don't always have to be the most creative woman out there, but like being ambitious, being diligent with the things that God has given you, being a good steward of the work that God has given you. The next thing is watches the things that her family consumes. I also kind of put she makes smart food decisions. We can look at this from verse 14 where it talks about she gets food from far away. And the thing that I thought about when I came to this specific verse was sometimes she'll get like the most exotic food, or she'll be careful about the food that she gets and how different it is, and like look at the ingredients that she's putting in her food. Nowadays in America, we have ingredients that are illegal in other countries because they're making people sick. They're not helping people's health. They're causing a lot more health issues than it is helping. So even if it's not just food, it could be like TV shows, monitoring your family or even your kids. Because like even my husband and I right now are in a season where we aren't really watching TV or consuming social media as much. Like, of course, I'm on social media right now for posting and influence content, but other than that, we're not really consuming too much. And like when we do get on social media, when we do watch certain things, we are conscious about what we are consuming, the music that we listen to, the books that we read, the things that, like, it's not even just about food. What is it that you are giving to other people? You are conscious of the things that you are consuming, because what you feed your eyes, what you feed your ears is going to eventually come out into your heart. We live in this social media world nowadays where it's so easy to compare, it's so easy to get envious. We have to be mindful about the things that we consume, because it may seem like a small thing, like, oh, this person has this aesthetic or whatever, or this person, like, we're in the holiday season now and this person's has all these decorations. I feel like it's so hard during the holiday season too, because you'll see people's houses so decorated and people go all out for Vlogmas. You're in a season where you're struggling financially. Like, sometimes that if I'm consuming too much of that content, it can make me feel like I'm missing out on the beautiful things that God has for me already. Like, I'm missing out on something because I don't have all these things for the holiday. Like, I don't have these beautiful aesthetic things, and it may be so small, but we have to be mindful of the things that we consume, because it can stir something up in our hearts that is just not good for us. So as women, the way that we lead our families, the way that we lead the people and other young women in our lives, we are mindful of what we consume, and we are mindful of what our kids consume, what our family consumes, so that way it doesn't impact them and it doesn't taint their hearts. We're guarding their hearts as well as ours. The next thing is that she is a servant. She serves her family, and in this specific example, she serves the servants in her household. Like, she has servants that take care of things in the house, and she's still taking care of them as well, making sure they're clothed and making sure they're taken care of and they're fed. And so even though she has people under her, she is a servant to them. As Jesus followers, we are called to serve. Even Jesus came to serve and not to be served, and we are called to be servants of Christ. We are called to serve the people around us. That is how we best love, when we are servants. This next one, which is kind of convicting me a little bit, is that she makes smart financial decisions. This is something that I'm struggling with, because me and my husband are in the season that we are in right now when it comes to financial things. It is forcing me to be a little bit smarter about the financial decisions that we make, even when it comes to day-to-day things like what we're going to eat and how we're going to budget our groceries. Just being able to make smart financial decisions, because once you have a family, once you get married, it's not just about you and like all the things that you want to buy. You have to think about how it's going to impact things with your family. As a woman, it's also important. It's not just the man's job to look at the finances, especially if he's the provider. You as well contribute to what's going into your household, so you have to also make financial decisions. She is strong, and I feel like this isn't just like a physical strength, because as women, we are the weaker vessel. We are a lot more smaller in stature than men are. So I don't think this is from like a physical sense, but from a emotional and spiritual sense. Like, we draw on our strength from God. And emotionally, because women, this can be like, people say that women tend to be more emotional, but I think because women are more emotional beings than men, we've had a lot more practice with our emotions and being able to handle our emotions and rein in on those tough emotions, so that when our men are facing difficult situations, we're able to be emotionally intelligent and help the people in our life navigate those difficult things that they're going through. Next, she is wise. She is wise, and I feel like this is so simple and pretty self-explanatory. Again, we draw on our wisdom from God and we make wise decisions, and it kind of goes with all the other points that are made, is that she is wise. And the last one, but certainly not least, this should be number one, but I'm glad that it's the last one because it serves as a reminder. She fears the Lord. All of these things tie into having a healthy fear for the Lord, to be in awe, to be obedient, to be submissive to the Lord Jesus Christ. And if a woman doesn't fear the Lord, none of these other things matter. None of these other things matter. For a strong biblical woman, she needs to fear the Lord. And when you fear the Lord, all these other things fall into place. Fear the Lord is something that is so important to have. If we do not fear the Lord, whether you're a woman or a man, as followers of Christ, we need to have that fear in the Lord in us, so that we can be obedient and we can serve others well. We can take care of the things that we can take care of. We can step in to the specific biblical roles that we are called to step into, because there are specific roles for men and for women. There are things that God has specifically individually called us to do, but there are broad things that women are supposed to do and certain things that men are called to do. And it's no exceptions to that. Like, women are called to be women and men are called to be men. And I think it's so important to distinct that, especially in today's gender confused world, where we need to be able to step out and be able to draw the line between men and women. And it is beautiful to be different, and it's beautiful because then we can come together and we complement one another. I can't do what my husband do. I can't hold the same capacity, the same space that my husband can, and he can't hold the same space that I can. There are things that are just so uniquely beautiful for men and for women. In today's world, women are trying so hard to be men, and we need to stop trying so hard to be someone else. Essentially, that's what we're doing. When we're trying to be men, when we're trying to be fierce, when we're trying to be these feminine boss babes, we're trying to take over and say that we want to be men. Subconsciously, that's what we are saying. We are trying to step out of alignment of what God has called women to be. We are trying to be men, and we can never be men. That's the same as saying we're trying to be like this other woman over here, but we can never be her. We are taking away what God is calling for us to do, who God has called us to be. And we're telling God, like, you made a mistake with me, and how I was uniquely made. So I'm going to try to be like this other person because it does better in society, or this is going to work out a lot better. Sometimes 9 out of 10 you're going to fall flat on your face because you'll find out that God did not create you to be that way. So as women, we need to stand in our womanhood because there's strength in being a woman, being a biblical woman who fears the Lord. And I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope that you guys took away something. I hope that this encouraged you, that this blessed you. Leave some comments down below. If you have any questions, you can reach out directly to me on Instagram and we can chat a little bit more. If you have some questions, if you guys have any other video ideas, please let me know in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. But I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it and filming it. This is probably the most passionate I've been about a video in a really long time, and I'm so grateful to be back in this space of just filming videos and being able to share the word of God with y'all. This definitely won't be the last time, but I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Just remember, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are loved. I love you, but God loves you so much more. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.